Hey guys, it's been about a month since my last video, and to my regular viewers and subscribers, I am really sorry about having to take a month-long absence from the channel for the second time this year. So, truth is, thankfully, I have not had any life-threatening situations going on. I haven't had anything significant, but I have been quite busy for the past few weeks, and I have had to put some stuff outside of the channel ahead of the channel. So I've had to really focus on some stuff going on outside of the channel for the past few weeks, and I'm really sorry about that. So also I know this. I know that you guys are definitely waiting to hear about my thoughts on the new Adidas NHL uniforms. And guys, I am really looking forward to making that video. However, I have decided not to do it just yet. And the reason for that is because I'm hoping to still see the Nashville Predators away jersey, and I'm also waiting to find some more photos of the new NHL jerseys by Adidas. And I know that the Ottawa Senators are keeping their jersey design intact with a new letter and number font based off of their Heritage Classic uniforms, or their third jerseys that they had last year. That's what their new number and letter font is their third jersey font, which is kind of bizarre. And it's bizarre because Ottawa's getting new uniforms in the 2018-19 season, so I will talk about that later when I get to that video. But so I still haven't seen Ottawa's white jersey with under Adidas, and I still haven't seen Toronto's Adidas away jersey, but I know it's the flip of their home jersey because obviously they just got new uniforms for the 2016-17 season, so obviously they're not changing anything. But with Nashville, I know that they have slightly altered their uniforms, so their away jersey could be a little bit different from what they were wearing last season when they went to their first ever Stanley Cup final appearance, but I highly doubt that the changes are drastic, but still, I would like to see it before I get to the video. But anyway, once I'm done this little series that I'm going to be working on, if Nashville hasn't unveiled their away jersey yet, I'm just going to say to hell with it, and I'm just going to make the videos anyway. So with the whole Adidas NHL situation, truth is, what I've done every year since I did my first ever video talking about what was unveiled for the 2015-16 uniforms as of the NHL's draft and my thoughts on those. I also did a video last year to share my thoughts on what has been unveiled so far as of the draft. And this year I'm going to be following suit with that I've done the past 2 years that I've been doing this channel. However, I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently because this year is a special exception because Adidas is now entering the National Hockey League as the new jersey manufacturer. So I'm going to probably do at least 2 videos covering those when I get around to it. So anyways, I will talk about my channel hiatus at the end of this video, but for the time being, I'm going to be starting a 3-part video series about the CFL's new uniforms from Adidas, and I'm going to be sharing my final thoughts on the 2016 CFL uniforms, which last year was actually the first ever year of Adidas as the Canadian Football League's uniform manufacturer, because they took over from Reebok last year, and now they're completing the Reebok transition to Adidas for the National Hockey League now, and they're going to start making the NHL's uniforms starting in the 2017-18 season. So what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to share my final thoughts for the CFL's Eastern Conference in this video, and then my next video will be about the Western Conference uniforms, and then the third video will talk about some minor jersey changes that have been made for the CFL's 2017 season. So anyways, without further ado, sorry about the long introduction, but I just wanted to talk about some of that stuff, some little bit of channel, what I call channel housekeeping, because I know you guys have been waiting to hear from me for a while, and I'm really sorry about that. But anyways, here we go. I'm going to get started with my final thoughts for the 2016 CFL uniforms. and this is going to be part 1 covering the CFL's 4-team Eastern Conference. So I'm going to start off with the Montreal Alouettes. And as you can see here, these are their uniforms, and these are the uniforms in 2015 before Adidas took over. And the reason I'm showing you guys these photos is because when they switched to Adidas, they actually did not change anything. And we'll just ignore that photo because that's an old third jersey. So basically, truth is Montreal did not change a single thing. And this was their uniform from last year. As you can see, there's the new CFL logo. And for anybody who's curious, the Montreal Alouettes, their CFL logo on their collar actually says LCF, which for us English speakers, we would read it as LCF, but in French, they pronounce it as LCF, which is the French translation for the Canadian Football League. So, as you can see, this is the Alouettes uniform from last year. They did not change anything. And truth is, I've actually grown to appreciate their uniform now that they haven't, since they didn't change anything. And I feel like they actually made the right move when they decided to leave their uniforms alone. But truth is, I still want these word marks off of their uniforms to be cleaned up. I really want them to get rid of these word marks. And I also think it would be a real improvement if they took the blue shoulder yoke off their uniforms. And with Montreal, I like the Alouettes uniform style because I feel it is uniquely Montreal. They really have done a great job of being like the Canadians and really owning this red, blue, and white color scheme that has become truly famous with Montreal, especially if you think about the Montreal Canadiens, eh? So these, I think, Montreal definitely made the right move by leaving their uniforms alone. But also, something else that happened last season that was interesting was that the Montreal Alouettes actually decided to keep their signature third jersey from Reebok, which obviously the only difference between this uniform here and what they wore last season was the new CFL logo and, of course, the Adidas logo on the uniform instead of the Reebok one, which is totally fine. And truth is, although this is a total Oregon Ducks ripoff, in my personal opinion, I actually don't think it's a terrible alternate uniform for a game or two every year. But truth is, I am hoping that the Montreal Alouettes will wear a throwback uniform of some kind. And I do agree with people that their 1970s royal blue throwback that they wore a few years back is one hell of a nice uniform, and I would love to see them wear it once a year. And actually, that's one thing about Adidas that has really disappointed me so far, and it's that we have not been seeing any retro uniforms as of yet, and I really, really do hope that that changes. Now, actually, there is one thing that I do want to check real quick here, and my apologies for the delay, but I just want to check something here out of my own personal curiosity, because I can't remember if the Toronto Argonauts ever wore their throwback last season. I don't think they did, and yeah, they did not. They did not. Sorry about that. I for a second I thought the Argonauts actually wore their throwback like they did back in 2015, but they never did last year. So with Montreal, there really isn't much to talk about because they did not change. And they did even get rid of their third jersey, which it's okay. It's not my favorite, and it loses marks in my opinion because it's a ripoff of the Oregon Ducks in college football down in the United States. But with the Alouettes uniforms, though, I do wish they would get rid of these stupid word marks. They're way too big, and I think they should take the shoulder yokes off too, because I think it would really clean up their uniform. But now I'm going to move on to the Hamilton Ticats. Okay, so with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, ever since they've switched to Adidas, I feel that they heavily downgraded their uniforms. They took these two excellent uniforms and really wrecked them. They totally wrecked them, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. They didn't completely wreck them, but in a lot of ways I feel that they did. First off, you see these collars, the collar piping? I thought that was a really nice touch. And also the striping on the pants. All their pants had 2 sets of stripes. And I feel that their uniforms have really lost a lot of character. Because before they had 2 black stripes on either side of the Ticats pants, and now they're blank. They're just plain pants. Yellow pants, black, and plain black pants. And also, see, it doesn't look as good without the golden yellow piping on the collar. And this oversized word mark here, I hate that too. But now, here's a newer, more recent photo of the Ticats uniform. And one thing I also don't like is how, let me see. It looks like they've made their shoulder numbers a lot smaller than they were before. And I personally do not like that. It also looks like they made their logo on the arms a little bit smaller. And you see how big the word mark is? I hate it. I think it's way too big. They should have just left their uniforms exactly the way they were before Adidas took over. Now also take a look at this too. Look at the pants on the Ticats. Like there's no golden yellow striping on them. I mean, before when they wore all their monochrome black uniform with the gold striping on their pants, I thought it was a really sharp look. The yellow stripes on the pants actually really added a lot of character. And now they just look like plain black tights. They don't even have stripes on their socks. I think that's a bloody shame. And I really do believe that the Ticats, I strongly believe that Hamilton really did ruin 2 great uniforms. Like the jerseys are still very nice, in my opinion. They're still very nice. But the jerseys are still good, but they're not great. They're not what they used to be, and I'm really disappointed by that. Now, here's a photo of their away jersey. Once again, look at that oversized Hamilton word mark on their uniform. And look at the black pants. Like the black pants with their away jersey before, when Reebok was still making the uniforms, were really good because they had the gold stripes on them. Now they don't. Now look at those puny shoulder numbers. It's like, why did you have to make them that much smaller? They just don't look right. And, you know, for whatever reason, the cut of the jerseys, I have not been a big fan of the new cut of the jerseys either. They don't look completely right. And it's tough to explain, but it's something that I've really noticed, and not in a good way. And I strongly believe that with the Ticats, that their Reebok version of these uniforms were far, far better, especially the collars. The word marks were much better before when they were smaller. And of course the striping on the pants. Like, I don't know about how you guys feel, you fellow Canadian Football League fans out there like myself feel about it, but I feel like Hamilton had 2 perfect uniforms with Reebok when they switched to Adidas, and they found ways to downgrade it. And I'm really disappointed with the Ticats right now. Now also, when they first brought in their Adidas uniforms, look at these oversized numbers on the back of their helmets. Thankfully, it looks like the Ticats never went ahead with it, which is great. But I just find that so far the Adidas uniforms have not been as good. And also, another thing as well, some of the nameplates on the uniforms have either been too big or too small, which is another massive pet peeve of mine. And I'm really sorry to come across as being picky, but for me, little things like this drive me crazy. And no, I do not have obsessive compulsive disorder, if you're wondering. When it comes to uniforms, I'm just really picky. And thankfully, I don't have that disorder, which is a blessing. Now, let's go on to the Ottawa Redblacks. With their uniforms, when they first came out and first entered the CFL a few years ago, I was never a fan of their Stormtrooper look away uniform, but I've always felt that their first home jersey was really quite good. And I know that people thought that the white numbers were an improvement, but you know what? I've honestly felt that their original black uniform, as you can see here, was far better than their new one. With the red on the collar as well, and the red numbers. And the reason for my opinion on this is because I felt that their original uniform actually really stood out nicely from the Calgary Stampeders. Like the red piping on the black uniform was a very nice way of keeping Ottawa unique compared to Calgary. And see, the all-black uniform with the red piping and the red numbers, I felt was a very, very clever way of standing out from Calgary, and I thought it looked really quite good. But their new home and away uniforms, especially their new home uniform, I don't like it. The white numbers look good, but the red on the sides and everything, it's just a basic Adidas templated uniform now. It's got this style of pants with the red blocks on the end of the pants. And now they've got this horrible thing down the sides of their pants that says #OurNation. Like, are you serious? I've hated it from the second it came out. That hashtag thing has got to go. And what they've now done with Adidas is Adidas has been putting word marks on the sides of the pants. Instead of regular striping, it's just this little block of red here, the pants, and a word mark down the side. I feel like they've gone more the collegiate route, and I don't like it. And these red socks are kind of ugly. Now, this is another photo here that I had from before. You can see the white numbers instead of red. And you know what? My issue with Ottawa's new home jersey is that it is way too similar to the Calgary Stampeders. And also, one thing about doing the CFL video series first is that I can show you guys some of the little tiny little perks, little things that Adidas seems to really like to do. So the collar, notice that the logo, I know you can't see it here, but with the new Adidas uniforms in the CFL, their CFL logo is now on a pentagon on the collar, just like the NHL, except with the Canadian Football League, that pentagon does not stick out like a sore thumb, which is what they should have at least done with the NHL, at least in my opinion. So now look at the back of the Redblacks uniform, and this is another pet peeve of mine with Adidas so far. For whatever reason, I have really noticed that with some of the uniforms on the field, there's a huge gap between the numbers and the names on the back. They don't look, I find that they're sometimes a little bit off, where the numbers are too low or the names are too high, and in this case with Ottawa's new uniforms, I noticed that the nameplates on the back are smaller than they used to be. And so you see this picture here, and I will quickly show you guys the back of the Redblacks Reebok uniforms, and look at how much bigger the names on the back are. They are a perfect size. There's no gap between the numbers and the names. It's perfect. The format and the layout of the numbers and the letters on the back are perfect. They were perfect with Reebok. These look like really good uniforms. Perfect number placement, perfect names placement, and look at the size of them. Perfect size, not too big, not too small. And as far as I'm concerned, Ottawa's last home jersey was way better than what they're wearing now. It's just a boring template. And I do agree that the white numbers are definitely brighter, but I don't agree that they're better. I think that the red numbers on Ottawa's black uniform was way better, a way better idea, because, see, look at this uniform. You can definitely tell it's separate from the Stamps, which the problem is now, Ottawa's new home uniform looks way too similar. It looks like a Calgary Stampeders alternate uniform, and it really pisses me off. And I really do believe that the Redblacks heavily downgraded their home jersey. I think, but the only good thing to really come out of the Adidas takeover, besides them getting rid of that hideous red alternate, and I know some people liked it, but I thought it sucked. Plaid on red with their saw logo, their Art in the Saw Blade logo on the front, looked absolutely horrific. It sucked. And they were even considering a plaid helmet, but they backed out of it and said it wasn't the right they had issues making the helmets for everybody, that was a lie. They decided not to go with it because the initial reaction was that it looked absolutely goddamned ugly. Ugly as sin. Which is why they only wore this black helmet with it, for anybody wondering. But with the Ottawa Redblacks, though, regardless of their uniforms, I haven't said it enough on my channel, but I feel that the Redblacks did a terrific job with their logo. I think it's great. I think it's too bad that they called themselves the Redblacks, though. No matter what you guys think, I'm always going to think that the Redblacks name is a horrible one. And they should have just called themselves the Renegades again, in my opinion. Now, let's take a look at Ottawa's away uniform. Now, for me, I felt that their away uniform was a real winner because it really cleaned up their last away uniform. And this is the only change that, in my opinion, should have happened whatsoever to the Redblacks' new uniforms with Adidas. They should have left their home uniform the same and should have just switched to this. Like for me, I think the red numbers on Ottawa's away jersey looks way better. And the shoulder area is very nicely cleaned up. And also there's something else I really want to show you guys. For those of you who've seen the NHL's new uniforms, you'll notice this new collar piping that Adidas has now. And notice it on the Redblacks' new away jersey. Just keep that in mind for when you see the NHL's new uniforms, because Adidas has practically got the exact same collar style on the NHL's jerseys now, and personally I hate it with a passion. But I want you guys to really take a good look at this photo. Do you notice that these uniforms have the exact same goddamned template to them? That is something that has really turned me off with Adidas, is that a lot of the teams are using the exact same uniform template, and I think it's a shame. Now with the Stampeders, though, I will get to them in my next video, but I will tell you that I do think their uniforms are better now than they were before Adidas took over. But look at the Redblacks away uniform. In my opinion, it's pretty clean. The red numbers are an improvement. The cleaned up shoulder area is much better. But also another thing, a lot of teams no longer have shoulder numbers. I'm scratching my head because I've always felt that was a part of the football uniform. And I feel like a lot of the team's shoulders, like the Redblacks, have way too much blank space. And that's one thing that was great about the numbers. But now here's the back shot of their away jersey. And personally, whether it's white pants or black pants, I like the Redblacks' new away uniform much better than I did before. But see, the logo's on the ends of the arms, but there's no more shoulder numbers on a lot of teams. Ottawa is one of them. Montreal still has theirs, Hamilton still has theirs, and the Argonauts still have theirs, but the Redblacks don't. And see what I mean about the nameplates? Look at how small it is, and look at this big gap between the numbers and the names on the back. I mean, sorry to be so picky, but to me it just looks ugly. They need to fix that. And once again, this hashtag Our Nation crap's got to go. Get rid of it. Go with the traditional style of pant and stick to that, because these suck. Yes, I think they suck. This hashtag Our Nation crap is garbage, and they need to get rid of it. So anyways, I'm going to move on to the Toronto Argonauts. Just ignore that photo. So personally, I feel like they took the Argonauts uniforms from 2015 and actually made them a little bit better. The jersey, I mean. They added some powdered blue trim to their numbers. That's all they did, and of course the new CFL logo. And personally, I think the Argonauts have the best jerseys in the entire Canadian Football League now. I really do. I think they did a great job. But the issue I've had so far is look at that cut-off pant stripe. Now, the fancy term for it is called a truncated pant stripe, which is basically some random stupid fancy language for pant striping that's completely cut off. Now, let's ignore this, but once again, there is something I need to show you. So, I know it's tough to see with the quality of my camera, but you see the five-sided pentagon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which their new CFL logo sits on. This is the same style of Adi collar construction that you'll see on the NHL's new uniforms going forward with Adidas.
And also another thing, I feel like the CFL's new logo is not as good. I totally understand the method behind the madness of cleaning it up, but personally, I've always felt this CFL logo has been much better than the new one. Now here's Toronto's all-white uniform from last season, and look at that cut-off pant stripe. Like, to me, I look at it and I ask myself, what the hell were they thinking? That looks stupid. That looks absolutely stupid. Now look at the word mark. It looks like it comes down much lower than it should, which pisses me off. It's a pet peeve of mine. And this was their white helmet from last year with a navy blue face mask and this really nice traditional striping on the helmet. Well, now they've gotten rid of it this season, but I'll talk about that in a future video in the not too distant future. But, you know, this cut-off pant stripe crap is BS. And I think the Argonauts should go back to their football boat logo from the 70s and 80s. I thought that was a classic, way better than what they've got now, though I think their current logo is good. But here's the back of it, and this is a picture from this season because of the change in the white helmet, But the white socks with the white pants and the white jersey just does not look good. It looks like they're taking part in the NFL's color rush shenanigans, which some of the uniforms for the color rush are pretty nice, but this all monochrome white, for example, looks horrible. And once again, the Redblacks, this uniform doesn't even come close to their first one, in my opinion. And now this is Toronto's navy blue uniform. The jersey's great, but look at the cutoff pant stripes again. I mean, who the hell thought that was a good idea? Jesus Christ, they need to fix that. And their new helmets, I hate the face mask and the single stripe. Looks stupid. Especially the helmet change. And once again, this is Toronto's cutoff pant stripe. I've already talked about it. But, you know, even from before, though, I mean, with Toronto, I really do notice that the cutoff pant stripes are just nowhere near as good. And I think it's a shame that they changed it. So anyways, you guys, I've covered the Montreal Alouettes, which I would like to see them take those word marks off and get rid of the blue shoulder yokes. Though I am actually happy that they did not change anything. With the Hamilton Ticats, I felt that they really downgraded a great, perfect set of uniforms that they had with Reebok. Like taking the stripes off the pants, making the word marks bigger, and getting rid of the collar piping or the striping on the collars. And, you know, I really do feel, and making the shoulder numbers really small. I really do think they really wrecked a great uniform, which really disappointed me. Toronto, I hate these cutoff pant stripes. If they would just fix that, I think their uniforms would be perfect. And they should just go with that traditional helmet striping like they had last year and keep that on this helmet, and I would even argue for their navy blue helmet, and bring back this style of the white helmet that they had last season, and I think their uniforms would be pretty much perfect. And the word marks could be a little bit, like this jersey here, the word mark looks like it's perfectly placed, but their away jersey, I think it should be a little bit higher up. At least if that's from what it looks like in that photo there. Let's see. Yeah, their word mark should come up a little bit. But if they would just fix this stupid cutoff pant striping, like who the hell thought it was a good idea? Their uniforms, in my opinion, would be perfect. And please don't go with monochrome white with white socks and shoes like the NFL. The color rush is bad enough for that reason. But anyways, Toronto still thankfully has good uniforms. But as for the Redblacks, as much as I think that their new away jersey is definitely an improvement over what they were wearing when they first came into the CFL a few years ago, as for their home jersey, I think it's a massive downgrade. I strongly believe that their original black jersey with the red numbers and the little bit of red piping were far, far better. But also, anyways, on a final note, that's it for part one. But before I wrap up this video, I want to finish by telling you guys about what's been going on with me the past few weeks. So, first off, for the first couple of weeks after the NHL unveiled their new Adidas uniforms,
I decided to, I thought I was going to do the Adidas uniforms first, but I could not find any good photos for the life of me, which thankfully I have finally found some good photos now, which I will be able to start that series soon. But after that, also a couple weeks ago, I actually spent a whole week volunteering at a kids camp. And then the past couple of weeks, I've been really busy with school. And for those of you who've been longtime subscribers, you know that I have mentioned before that I'm finishing up a college diploma right now, and that's been keeping me very busy. But also, truth is, I've actually got a job for the summer. So that means that I've now got 2 jobs for the next month and a half. And I'm really trying to get hired on permanently at this second job, because if I do, then I will be making more money than what I'm making at my current job right now. So I've really had to take some time outside of the channel, or take some time away from the channel, to really focus on that stuff, especially school as of right now. So anyways, you guys, I hope this video was one that you guys enjoyed, and I'm really sorry about how long it has taken me to get back to making videos, but thankfully we can now say that I'm finally back, and it's about damn time as far as I'm concerned. And once again, sorry for the extended hiatus once again. But anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and of course, until my next video, which will cover part 2, which will be part 2 of this series, and we'll talk about the CFL's Western Conference uniforms from last year. Take care, and of course, you guys, as always, bye for now.